So, welcome Leila, and thank you for taking your time out this week to talk to the UK&I SAP user group. Obviously, you're only 2 weeks into your new role. So for those that haven't met you before, maybe you could perhaps give us a little bit of background on your career and the roles that you've taken.
Firstly, thank you very much for having me, and congratulations on your new role. I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So maybe just a little bit about me. I've been in the industry more years than I care to share with you, but let's go 20 plus years. I've been in SAP 7 years. I came in actually as the cloud leader, and then for the last 4.5 years I was running SuccessFactors, both locally and then at regional level, so across all of kind of Northern Europe. And then from there on in, I became the COO, which emerged into being CBO, so Chief Business Officer, working alongside and very closely with the current MD or the previous MD at the time, and then the rest of the SLT. So I did that for about 18 months, and then within the last 2 weeks, I've moved into this role as the Managing Director for UK and Ireland at SAP, which I'm delighted about, to be honest.
Very good. And what excited you about taking on this role as Managing Director, and what would you say your kind of short-term, say, H2 objectives?
I think first and foremost, continuity, right? I wanted to continue all of the great foundations that we've been working on actually for the last 18 months, but prior as well. We've laid a lot of great foundations down, helping our customers on their journeys, or clients on their journeys, in various different guises, realising the investments that they're making, working with our partners as well, big focus on our partner and our ecosystem, how we scale in the market, but then also relationships like this. UKISUG is a very important part of our business and a very important partnership. So that was essentially one of the main reasons. Also, if I then look slightly internally, just investing in the team, in the people, in the business, and how we show up and how we go to market. In terms of second half priorities, with all these things, there's still lots more we could be doing. So I want to make sure that we are investing in the right areas, focusing on our partnerships, focusing a bit more on bringing some of our client stories to life. And then there's some things that I'm probably going to do organisationally, nothing too major, but just some areas that I want to kind of maybe focus and hone in on. Growth markets is a big segment for us, and we've got a lot going on in that space. So that's kind of second half priorities. But then actually getting us ready for 2025 and beyond. We've still got a lot to do in this market unit. We're a big market unit for the company, so getting us ready for 2025.
Okay, one of the things you touched upon there, and it's also a theme coming back to our surveys, is around talent and talent management and having the right talent pool in the UK market. So how does SAP go about in the current marketplace, getting the right talent, retaining the right talent, upskilling the right talent? What's your approach?
A great question, and probably outside of clients, the biggest thing for me is making sure that we're investing in our people, in our talent. So we do a lot in kind of many different levels. So we're doing a lot around apprenticeship programs. So we launched our first apprenticeship program last year. We were already, in the first year, we were ranked number 13 in that. We thought we'd be in the top 50. We're delighted that we're number 13, just coming up to their first year anniversary, so we're going to celebrate that with them. I'm really proud of the apprenticeship programme, actually. It's a really great programme that we've invested in as part of the government levy that we've been given. We've got a very long internship programme. We've been running that for many, many years, and actually, I think we were talking earlier, one of our leaders in the business, one of our SLT members, came in through that internship. I won't say how many years ago because I'll give away how long and probably her age in the business, but really long standing internship where often we see a lot of those interns come back into the business. We're doing a lot around leadership, actually. We're putting a number of our leaders through our leadership development programme. That's been really well received internally. But then actually there's a big piece. We're investing a lot kind of back into the market. So we're working a lot with charities. We're working a lot with some of our partners like Deloitte. Actually, we're doing a lot around skills and investment back into the UKISUG. So there's an internal aspect about retaining, developing our own talent, and actually, probably not well known, we are within the top 5 on Glassdoor employees in the country.
Okay.
I think we're the only tech company in the top 10.
That's very impressive.
So really proud of that, really
Yeah.
proud of the apprenticeship programme, but also very proud of what we're doing back in terms of the give back into the market. That's something very close to my heart in terms of we should be investing back in terms of Prince's Trust and all of that kind of piece. So big focus area for me.
Okay, very good.
Now, let's talk a little bit about you for a second. So you are also new into your role.
Indeed.
I'm sure there'll be many people kind of watching from UKISUG. Do you want to kind of talk to us about why you're in this role, why you took the role?
Yeah, well, my career in the SAP ecosystem is probably in the region of about 25 years. I started around the Y2K time period.
You didn't.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, my first project was a Y2K remediation project.
Wow.
And my first exposure, actually back then, I was based in Ireland, and there was an Ireland user group run by SAP. A lady called Fiona Walsh used to run that group. And then I moved to the UK in 2006, and I joined the UK and Ireland SAP user group 2008. So I've essentially been with the organisation 16 years.
Wow.
So most of my SAP career, I've also been part of the UKISUG. And I've been really fortunate in that time. I've worked on 3 global deployments. I've done projects all over the world. I've travelled all over the world. I've helped businesses transform and move from legacy systems to SAP systems. So at this stage of my career, as part of giving back, I've got a lot out. So for me, it's around giving back and probably lending some of my experience that I've learned and my knowledge over the years to help the user group in terms of trying to achieve their objectives. The other great thing about giving back and being part of the board is that I'm getting again, because it's a tremendous opportunity to learn skills that I would never have learned in my day job. So you work on a board, now even being the chair, just understanding how companies run and all that goes with it. Again, it's a fantastic learning opportunity for me. So even though I'm giving back, I'm also actually gaining as well. So overall, it's been a really great opportunity.
It's interesting. I think there's probably a lot that we can learn from you, right? So listening to your story of you've done 3 major deployments, kind of taking you all over the world. I think I'm really looking forward to this partnership because I think there's a lot that we can kind of learn and grow on together. So I think that's very exciting. Now that you're new in, I guess, what would you say are your objectives, being the chairman, over the kind of, I guess, coming months, year, etc.?
Yeah, so I suppose to me there's kind of 2 focuses. There's the internal focus of the board. We have a few members retired recently. We've got more going to retire next year. So there's the whole part around re-energising the board and I suppose really looking to the future in terms of getting new board members on there that are either maybe new customers that don't even know what ECC are, they're just coming straight in.
Yeah.
And also trying to get our diversity, balanced out as well. So getting more female members onto the board as well. So that's a key thing for us.
I think, so just picking up on that, I think actually that there's probably an area there that we can collaborate on together when we talk about diversity. Diversity is actually quite high in the market unit. So we've probably got 35%, 40% ratio. So maybe that's something that we could look to collaborate a bit closer on as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And we've got a really thriving women in SAP community, which when we do all our surveys and Qualtrics and etc., comes out actually as nearly the best performing community that we have. So there's a lot for us to learn from that as well. And I think there's a real demand and appetite for this. And so part of even what I'm doing with the 2 SIG chairs for that community is really trying to relook at it and see how we can maybe even position it more strategically to ensure that specifically females coming into this industry, that they can understand the different career paths people go and how to get there, and that maybe they don't get pigeonholed into the traditional female roles of test leads and change leads and whatever. And so it's understanding those patterns and seeing, because I think a lot of the research would show that it's the first promotion that figures out where people land, 5 or 10 years or 15 years down the line. So it's making sure that we understand that within our SAP community.
If I can help, then please let me know.
Yeah,
Happy
absolutely.
to help and support that.
The other thing we're trying to do then, I suppose, externally is on the community is, for me, a big focus has to be how do we support our members moving to S4. So because we've been around for, 20 odd years, a lot of our member base are traditional companies in the UK, all on ECC and, on the journey to S4. I think this year our survey showed us we had 31% had made the move based on the survey feedback. 67% were thinking of it, and there was 4 or 5, I don't know what they're doing, but anyway, they didn't offer an opinion. So there's a large group of people there that have to make the move yet. The other interesting feedback we got from the survey was 90% of customers that have made the move found the move either good or better from an implementation viewpoint. So maybe in comparison to 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, where it was very daunting and it was all new and we were learning how to do this and methodologies coming out. It seems now that, even from my own experience, we've just literally gone live 3 weeks ago with S4 and it's been a tremendous success.
Congratulations.
How do we shift that and get companies accelerating is going to be really important. And understanding the root causes, maybe why they're not. And as a user group then, seeing how we can help them along their journey. That for me is going to be kind of a key focus area. How do our priorities as a user group align with the SAP business, and what are the differentiators you have which you think will help our members be successful?
So I guess, so globally, obviously we have a big strategy. For me, what's important is to help our clients on the journey, different stages of the journey and how and when they transform. So we're spending a lot of time on that piece. I think it's interesting listening to your kind of observation around, you said 27% last year that have moved and it's now 31%. From a UKI perspective, we're the 3rd largest market unit for SAP globally. And actually we've probably moved around 55 to 60% of our clients. So they are on the journey. So it's not about when now, it's about how do we continue to help, how do we explain the roles, the responsibilities, the right pace of that change. So that's kind of the journey that we're on with the clients and making sure that we're at the table with our clients. A big piece of feedback that we get is we want SAP invested, we want them at the table with us. So we're putting a lot more focus around how do we make sure we're on that journey with you. Me personally, I sit on a number of steercos of clients that are on different journeys, not just S4, but actually SuccessFactors or Ariba, for example. So not just S4, it's different stages of different journeys depending on what path clients are on.
Okay.
So what do you believe is the biggest opportunity for SAP in the UKI based on the conversations that you've been having with your members? And what do you think some of the key challenges are?
Sure. I think based on our last year's survey and our more recent survey where we got the sneak preview of the information, the move to S4 has to be the biggest opportunity. As I say, we're at 31% based on our members in terms of we've surveyed, with 64% saying they're planning to move. So I think figuring out how we get them there sooner, I think is going to be key. I know early on this year at the SUGAN meeting in April, Christian gave a number in terms of how much SAP spend on ECC, and it was in the billions. And it's when you hear that and you say, okay, that's money that could be spent on supporting us on S4, and the journey for S4 has been going on for 7 or 8 years. It's coming to a time where we just need to close out the deal. And I think for us as a user group, whatever we can do to support that, but I think also from an SAP viewpoint, the opportunity is there to how do we move those customers that haven't made the decision? How do we make them to get to that point of making a decision? Because I think it's one of these things that are inevitable. ECC maintenance is going to run out, and no organisation wants to be running on an unsupported software package.
Why do you think, I guess, still some clients are reluctant to move, right? We've kind of talked a little bit about this. What's your view as a client of ours?
Yeah.
What's your view on it?
I think, for me at the moment, that the SAP discussion is very technical. It's very complicated. So, one of the things that I did 3 years ago is I left IT and I moved into the business. I now work in global supply chain. And when I talk to my peers within the business around SAP, they just blank over it because it's like, it's so complex that that's the IT people have to, that's their job. They figure it out. So I think when we're looking at this, it is very, very complex from a business viewpoint. And then when we talk about the business case, what is the business case to make that change? It can be often quite difficult to articulate that. And I think over the years I've seen is like, the journey keeps moving. So it used to be ECC to S4, now it's S4 to cloud. And so the story keeps changing. That's because obviously it is changing. It's dynamic.
Evolving.
It's evolving. So I think the challenge maybe for IT departments is how do you create the case for change? And when you're in an organisation and you're looking for several million euros or pounds to do this transformation, and you're competing with other projects, how do you make the case to do this? And some of that change is around innovation that you may get as part of S4. But I know from our own case, the business risk of doing the innovation with the S4 upgrade was too big, so we simply did an S4 technical upgrade. So then the investment is a multi-step process.
Yeah.
So in order to go from A to B, it might be 5 steps rather than 1 or 2 steps. And I think that's the other, I would say maybe challenges, I would say maybe working with SAP in this is maybe for SAP to understand that it's not the customers don't want to do this. It's the pace and the number of steps it's going to take to get there is going to be different. And a lot of it is down to business risk and understanding what that endpoint is. What is the real business case and how do you go from A to B? I think the other key challenge too is ECC is a great software.
Yeah.
See, you go to people and you try and tell them you need to change, and they go, I mean, it works. It runs our business. So that's also a hard selling point. You can't say, oh, you run a professional software that doesn't support you. Actually, for most businesses it does. So it's, to me, it's that case for change is now the big area.
And I think that's a really important point, right? It's around the case for change. It's around the what innovations we can unlock. And actually then there's a third step of, obviously, there's a big demand for AI. We've doubled down on AI. I think we've probably got one of the richest solutions in the market today that's a full end-to-end. And actually in the clients that I speak to on a regular basis, they ask me, what's your AI strategy? And I'm seeing that a lot in boardrooms, and actually a lot from CFOs that are saying, I'd really like to understand and unlock the capability of AI. So there is a big case for change around some of that.
Absolutely.
But I know these are big decisions that take time. Business case is an interesting one for me we'd always like to get a lot closer to the business case. We'd like to be part of that business case because we've seen a lot of the benefits of how we can drive those business cases forward. So always an interesting discussion around that.
And then I think the second challenge in it is when you're bundling the RISE conversation and with the move from ECC to S4, that can further, I won't say complicate it, but it's another variable in an already complex journey for companies to try and figure out. So often, for bigger companies, it has to be a multi-step process rather than a single jump. And that's just the nature of risk management.
Yeah. So I guess how do you see the relationship with SAP UKI currently, and how would you like to evolve kind of with us in the future?
I mean, from a user group perspective, we've kind of two relationships with SAP. We've got our SUGEN network, our Super User Executive Network, where we meet with the team in Waldorf twice a year. That tends to focus on product. So we talk about the key products, financial supply chain, commerce, etc. Then when we come into the marketplace here, the UKI, it's very much, I suppose, around service support, the kind of running the business. For us, I think there's a mutual benefit to be got between both groups working very, very collaboratively. Even for us, when we go to SUGAN, we can also bring a message on behalf of the market around product.
Sure.
So there was an area where it was like there's mutual benefit of also being able to influence the people you're trying to influence, just coming at it from a different angle. And it's also great for us then to hear back from you in terms of the feedback you're getting. So for me, my hope, you in your new seat, that it'll be a very collaborative and a very engaging relationship.
It will be, right. It's an important part of our market unit. It's an important partnership overall. So I want it to be collaborative. I want it to be communicative, and I think it's important that we're connected and help one another. I guess maybe final question from me. We have a large, diverse customer base across all the industries and different kind of account types. I guess if you were to, in a nutshell, speak to kind of clients that aren't part of the UKISUG, I guess what can you do to help them be successful? How would you like to kind of, I guess, bring in some more members?
Yeah, so just a couple of numbers to kind of start it off. So last year we had 287 events, either physical or online. We had 38 SIG meetings. These are physical meetings where customers come together. We had 550 hours of dedicated training content available on our website to members. We had 1,200 people at our Connect conference in Birmingham. And at that conference, we had 46 customers sharing their experience of their projects, warts and all, what went well, what didn't go well. The key thing when we survey our members, there's two things come back. One is networking. The ability to meet people from your industry and talk about common problems is you just can't buy that. I mean, you can get different consultants in to help you, but to sit down and have a story about saying, we're going to do this, you've done it before, what was your experience? That's tremendous. The other thing is just the kind of networking and collaboration, to be able to build up that peer network across the industry, to be able to call out on people. Also things we have is we have the ability to influence SAP through the user group. So we have a Meet the Developer session every year where we send people over to Waldorf in March, I think it is. And the other thing is by being a member, you also get discounted things like Learning Hub and some of the events, partner events. So financially, there's also kind of an incentive there. But I think the key thing overall is just that networking ability, that ability to connect with your peers. One of the things, just an interesting story, when I was my first 8 years working in manufacturing, doing SAP, and then I went into retail, and I went into a supermarket putting in SAP. And one of my first jobs was in data management, and they were talking about bills of material. So in manufacturing, you have bills of material, all the ingredients you go to make something. So I'm in the supermarket chain going, why the hell are they using bills of material? And then they explained they sell pizzas. And so they buy in the base, they buy in the packaging, they buy in all the raw materials. People make the pizza, and then you sell the pizza, and it scans the pizza, and it back flushes all the materials, and you're going, it's just like manufacturing. And so as I've gone through that, and I spend time working in Boots and B&Q and back into pharma, what I find is that 90% of the core process in any business are probably the same. There's always little nuances around industry sectors, but when you get people of finance together, no matter what industry sector they work in, the core process remain the same. The core process of procurement, manufacturing, sales, HR, they're all the same. So irrespective of what industry you're coming from, when you join the user group, you will find that your problems are the same as anybody else's problems. And also the solutions that you can find will be the solutions that will actually work.
And I think that's a really key message, actually. I'll tell a quick anecdotal story. So a few years ago, we were at a conference, and we had a client come on and present their story. I'll probably keep the clients' names out of it. And then we had another client in a completely, you'd have never have ever thought the two would connect. And after the client had presented kind of their story, the other client, which was in literally a completely different industry, said, I never thought I would be asking for your kind of help and guidance on, because all the things that you've described are all the things that we're about to go through. So I think no matter what the industry, actually it's a really good message of, one, you can help each other, but two, the pain points and the solutions to a certain extent are pretty similar. And I do think that is the beauty of being able to share that at UKISUG, but also not just the pain points, but also the solutions, right? There are a lot of solutions out there that they can help with as part of the membership.
Yeah. So then to finish off, so hopefully I'm going to invite you to our conference in
Correct.
December.
Looking forward
hopefully
to it.
Be there. Hopefully it'll be our biggest conference ever. We had 1,100 last year. We're hoping to get a bit bigger this year. And again, I think we're going to have the largest number of customer speakers. So again, I mean, I think I said it earlier, for me, the best salespeople of SAP products are SAP customers.
I agree.
And it's a phenomenal event. It's 3 days where people are there sharing their stories, their success stories. And, you know, the same people come out year and year again. It's just a staple in the calendar now. And it's a tremendous event. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you there.
So looking forward to it. Obviously, big thing for me, it's held in Birmingham. I'm from Birmingham, so it would be remiss of me not to be there. So I'm looking forward to being there in December.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you for your time today.